on MechaCon.org, the answer to all your burning questions.
Okay, hey guys, so I'm here with Travis from MechaCon, and a lot of people have been having questions about this year's MechaCon, and so we're just here to clear some things up. First of all, what is the lore?
That's a broad question. If you're familiar with MechaCon, you're familiar with Jet and Z.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've been on the program guides and T-shirts, and well, the original idea behind them, when John and Pete came up with them, however many years ago it is now, was just that they were mech pilots.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, later on down the road, they wanted to expand on that a little more because people would ask questions. They'd see the mascots and they'd say, like, where are you from? And the answer was kind of like, space. So we didn't have good answers for those questions, and they kept coming up. So we expanded on that a little bit. And then people kept asking more questions. So eventually there was this meeting where they were like, well, why don't we just come up with a full backstory?
Okay.
So we did. And then we wanted to kind of fold some of that backstory into the actual experience of the convention itself, and that's where all the stuff that's been popping up this year has come from.
Okay. Okay, and so what is SoulNet?
SoulNet is, in the Jet and Z universe, in the future that they live in, SoulNet is a media conglomerate that sort of controls all the information. On our website, SoulNet is where we have decided to disseminate some of the information about the backstory of not Jet and Z specifically, but the world that they live in, and how it got to the point that it is the way that it is while they're living in it.
Okay. Why revamping MechaCon so much?
Well, we're not really revamping MechaCon, and that's probably confused some people because the thing is, the event itself, I mean, there's still cosplay contests, there's still video rooms, there's still panels. None of that content, the stuff that you've been seeing at MechaCon every year, it's all still there. It's all still essentially the same.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're adding a layer on top of that that gives you an experience in addition to the anime convention experience, which, I mean, every convention has its own personality. They do. I mean, if you've been to multiple anime conventions, there's a different feel to all of them, but essentially they're all the same thing. They're all, you go to the panels you want to go to, and you go to the cosplay contest, and there's those similar elements. And for us, because we've been doing this for so long, we wanted to see if we could do something different that just you haven't seen before.
Okay.
That took the anime convention experience and added a little bit of maybe a theme park kind of thing to it. So we're not taking anything away, and we're not revamping the events that you're familiar with. That's all still there. It's still MechaCon. But changing locations was something that had to happen anyway for a multitude of reasons. So since we had to do that, because our long-term original plan was to stay at the Hilton, and that was going to be home. When that wasn't anymore an option, it opened up some other possibilities for us, and basically it started with a single idea and snowballed into what we think is going to be a really unique and interesting experience overlaid on the same convention experience that you've been to.
Okay, that's actually a very helpful answer, and it answers a lot of questions that a lot of people have had. So how long has it been in the works? You said since the beginning, or like when exactly did this part
We
start?
started planning the new elements of the convention probably two and a half years ago.
Okay.
When we first found out that we were going to be relocating, the idea was kind of there already, and we had some of this stuff we were thinking about doing at the Hilton, but not to the scale that we're going now.
Okay.
And then when we found out about that, we had to find a new location because we had to have that locked down before our contract with the Hilton was up. And so when we got that locked in, at that point we were like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's start planning it now. And as we started planning, it kind of got to where it is. So it's been about I'd say, the solid idea, the firm concept of what we wanted to do and all the fine details and stuff has been in the works for about 2 years.
Okay. Okay, and so how will the lore affect MechaCon? Like in detail, like, the badges, the rooms.
Well, everything that you see on the face of things, like not the way that the events are held, or obviously the panel is connected, but everything that you see is going to be impacted by that in some way. The way that the convention staff is going to comport themselves, what we'll be wearing, the decoration in the hotel,
Like this,
all of
for
that.
example?
I am not at liberty to discuss that. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of visual stimulation, for lack of a better term, and the hotel, it's a fantastic space. It really is. If you haven't seen it already, a few people have done walkthroughs and things. And,
I've yet to go there myself.
a lot of what we have decided that we could do that we hadn't ever thought of doing before has to do with how fantastic the Hyatt is as a space and how incredible this building is. And it just linked to that. So visually, we're kind of taking that, and you've heard the term Crescent Station. You've seen it all over our page. The Hyatt Regency New Orleans, once you get up the escalator out of the lobby, you will be on Crescent Station. And that's what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be using just decorations and the signage and all of that stuff, and the badges. The badges will be, we're going to give you credentials so that you get access to the parts of Crescent Station that you'd be allowed as a civilian to have. So a lot of that is going to be, it's small things, but I think it's small things that taken as a whole over the course of the weekend is really going to, if you can find it in yourself to suspend belief for a moment, it's going to be much more, I keep saying it again, and it's kind of been our catchphrase this year, is experience it, because it really, that's what we want, is for this year, not just to be an anime convention, we want it to be an experience, like a whole package, where you get an anime convention, but you also get to spend the weekend on a space station. And,
that's pretty cool.
And the crew of the United Fleet ship MechaCon is going to give you the guided tour and help introduce you. It's MechaCon 2317 is a celebration of a peace treaty that was recently signed in the 24th century between the United Forces, which is the military that Jet and Z are members of, and the OON, who are a race of androids who rose up against their creators. And the whole convention is, in addition to being an anime convention, it's a celebration of that peace treaty. So, like I said, it has a lot to do with how we're layering this on top of what we've already been doing.
Will the different races of the United Worlds play into the convention setting?
Well, actually, the United Worlds is made up entirely of human beings. If you and actually, if you check out the SoulNet page, we have it broken down into all the United Worlds. What's happened so far is that the human race has colonized a lot of bodies within the solar system and a single world outside the solar system, because their faster than light technology only allows them to go so far, and they've only found one habitable planet outside the solar system that was suitable. So we have humans living on a planet called Frere, which is orbiting a red dwarf about 21 light years, I believe, from Earth. Other than that, it's all humans living on various worlds, but they've been doing this for a few hundred years, so human beings as a species have not evolved. They're all still mostly humans. There's one exception to that, which I can get into if you want. But they're all humans with kind of their own cultures, just like, kind of divergences. Europa, which I hope to get up on the site soon, because it's kind of it's where I am from, so to speak, is because it was the first colony in the outer solar system, has developed kind of a unique culture that's a little bit different from anything that you would see on Earth, and so there's no different races per se, but there are different cultures within the human race that have kind of diverged from Earth. Some of them intentionally, because there was some hostility between the colonies and Earth too, which also on the SoulNet page you can read about the Jovian conflict, which was when the outer colonies went to war with Earth for their independence, and that kind of created some divergences there too. So, and instead of, the United Forces is exactly that. Earth and the colonies have come together again, kind of united. So they're all on the same team again, but there is still that divergence. Yeah, and sure, and a little bit of, I guess if you were living in Jet and Z's universe, Jet being from Mars might initially be a little suspicious of Z, who's from Oklahoma, and might be kind of weird because she eats grain that's never been genetically engineered, and she's actually eating beef that came from a real cow, and Jet would never have experienced those things.
Yeah.
So there's that to kind of play into it also.
Okay. Our last question: what can attendees get from the lore/immersion of it all?
Well, if you kind of read ahead of time, it might help with the immersion when you're at the convention. I understand not everybody is interested in doing homework to go to an anime convention, which is why we put it out there for people who want it. If you're interested in knowing why something is the way it is, the information is there for you. But for the most part, the way we're going to immerse you is the way that we're going to interact with the attendees. And also the way that we're going to have the hotel kind of decorated, and also the rooms will be named based on in-universe things. If you're interested in trying out an artificial simulation of combat, for example, you might want to go to the sim deck and check out MechCore, where you get to get into a battle pod and pilot a mech. So
it just brings everything together.
What you previously known as electronic gaming will be the sim deck, because that's where you go for simulations.
Yeah.
What you previously known as the signing room will be the embassy, where our ambassadors, who you previously known as guests, will be to sign things.
Okay.
So there's just a lot of little tweaks to the way we've named things and the way that we're going to interact with attendees. Look at it as a big upgrade. It's the same convention you've been going to for, this will be, 12 years before?
13?
Same one you've been going to for 12 years, except we're going to rename some things that, and we're going to behave in some different manners, and we're going to have it's set dressing. That actually might be the best way to explain it. You're going to get, instead of just dinner, you're going to get dinner and a show. So instead of just an anime convention, you're going to get anime convention and a weekend-long stage show on top of that.
Okay, that's actually
So,
a really helpful way of putting it.
except you get to be on the stage. So instead of watching as part of the audience, right? And that's what we're calling it. It's an immersive experience. Once you come up that escalator and you're on Crescent Station, we're gonna try our darndest to get you entirely on Crescent Station.
Okay.
We want you to go home and feel disappointed that you went back to the real world. That's our goal.
Well, that sounds like a really good goal.
And I think we got a good crew. I mean, our staff has been at this for a while, and we're really excited about the new stuff that we're adding to this, and I really think we're gonna pull it off. And that's not to say, like I said, nobody's ever done anything like this before.
Yeah.
So maybe next year we'll have to tweak some things, and the year after that we may have to tweak some things, but I really think that with the time that we've spent on this and the energy that we've invested in this, it's going to be something that you haven't seen before and that you haven't experienced before.
Well, that sounds good. Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me.
Thank you. And any other questions you have, that Solnet website is an invaluable resource. So MechaCon.com/Solnet. Answer a ton of questions, and I hope to keep updating it regularly between now and the convention too.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sitting here with me.
Thank you.
Hey you! Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. You can also check out Enemy Secrets on Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. Do you want more than that? I know you do. Then go to our website where you can see daily updates and articles and exclusive interviews.